Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to apologize for everyone. I just was praying Zuhr and somebody had some issues that they want me to clarify, and it took me a few minutes to get out. I'm sorry. I do apologize. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today, inshallah, we are starting a new surah, surah number 79. The name of the surah is Surah An-Nazi'at. An-Nazi'at means the extractors. It is a title that refers to the angels that work with the angel of death to extract the spirit from the body of the deceased people. When the death time comes, an angel or more working with the angel of death will extract, and the word extract shows how difficult and harsh it is, because the spirit is a source of life, or the cause that Allah infuses into the body to turn it into a living body. And when the time of death comes, then Allah would send the angel of death. And because the angel of death has a flanks of angels working for him all over the world. So, and they go by the book. And the book is the book of terms. Terms means the book that has the and the time of every human being when the angels are permitted or ordered to take their spirit out of their body. Once the spirit is taken out of the body, the soul itself will die. And the person will be motionless, irresponsive, as we all know what happens. The surah starts off with, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, by the extractors, the angels who pull out the spirits of the believers and the wicked. They take the spirit from everybody whose death time has come. And it is taken out by force. Why? Because the person clings to the spirit because it is his source of life. So they will be extracting it. And the first part that dies first is the feet, and then the ankles, then the rest of the legs, then the rest of the body, until it reaches the neck here, and then it is taken out by the angel. So it is a process. Sometimes it's fast and smooth for the believers, but for the disbeliever, it is like pulling a piece of silk cloth over a thorn-like surface. But for the believer, it is like pulling a piece of silk cloth on top of another piece of silk cloth. So it becomes very smooth. And because we are talking about the spirit and the soul, we are talking about creations that we cannot see. So we should not judge by what we see. So the second swearing, the first swearing is by the angels of death. And the second ayah is a swearing by those gentle, kind angels who take the soul of the believer smoothly and gently. Then the third swearing in the third ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by those swimming, orbiting creations, like angels who are flying all over the place, planets and other orbiting creations, right? And the orbits in which they rotate. Then by those that press forward as in a race, anything that races to catch up something, and they are racing against time, like stars who run, or horses who race, or everything that runs in a race against something else. And also, ayah number 5, swearing by the angels who are executing the commands of their Lord. What are those swearings about? It is about the fact that there will be a day that the earth, the trumpet will blow, and the earth and the mountains will shake violently, and everybody will die. So this is the day, these are the introductions for the day of judgment. Because there are two things that happen on the day of judgment. The blowing of the trumpet. Then the shaking of the earth and the mountains, when they will shake really violently. So it's not 9 or 10 or 12 on Richter scale. It will be the mother of all earthquakes. And everybody will die. So it is one blow in the trumpet. Every living human being or every living creature will die. And the second blow in the trumpet, and everybody will be raised up from death. So that's why it's called the day of resurrection. So one blow will be followed by another. What happens to people? Ayah number 8, it says, so many hearts on that day will shake and be trembling out of fear and anxiety. Everybody will be on edge. What is going on? Because it's an event unlike anything that happened before. And it's all gonna come all of a sudden. And the eyes of everybody will be cast down. Nobody will dare look up the heaven. Everybody will be looking down. And they will say, shall we certainly be returned back to our former state of life? Those are the disbelievers who don't believe in the resurrection or in a day of judgment. They are questioning and asking, are we going to come back? Even after we are crumbled bones, decayed bones, they are afraid. So those questions are out of fear. But in this life, they are asking out of denial and arrogance. You see, the disbelievers who deny resurrection and life after death, they think like children. For children, what they don't see, it doesn't exist. I want to repeat this 2 more times. For children, if there is something they don't see, that thing doesn't exist. For the disbelievers who deny resurrection and the hereafter, because they have never seen a dead person coming back in this life, they think it will never happen. This is as bad as it can get and as childish as it can be. So they lament their thought on the day of judgment, and they say, even in this life, if this were to happen, then this is a grave loss. To come back to life, that means there is God. That means there is records. That means our deeds are recorded. That means there will be accountability. That means there is hell and heaven. That's ayah number 12. Ayah number 13, it says, but only it will be a single shocking blow of the trumpet. A single blow that will put everybody to death, and the second single blow, it will bring everybody back to life after death. Number 14, when behold and remember, they will find themselves over the earth alive after they were dead. So all of that swearing is Allah's answer to the disbelievers who deny that there is life after death. There is resurrection after our bones have decayed, and after everything that they denied, they will face the reality. And the ayat here doesn't take us beyond resurrection. It stops here. And then the next set of ayat will talk to us about the story of Musa, peace be upon him. Has the story of Musa has it not come to you, or has it come to you when his Lord called him out in the sacred valley of Tuwa? It is the same as Mount Sinai. There is a valley at Mount Sinai that is called Tuwa. Have you been told about that story? Allah's asking Prophet Muhammad. When Musa was called by Allah in the valley of the Mount Sinai, Mount Tor. And he was told, go to Pharaoh. Certainly he has transgressed all bounds in his disbelief and denial, in his polytheism and claiming to be God, claiming to be God the highest, and wanting to enslave people. So Allah is reminding Prophet Muhammad of that story. And what happened is, as Ayah 18 takes us, Allah tells Moses, go to Pharaoh. Pharaoh has become a tyrant, somebody who crosses all bounds, and tell him, oh Moses, tell him, would you want to purify yourself? Do you want to get rid of the filth of polytheism, denial of Allah, oppression, injustices, enslaving of people who are not your slaves, your false claim to be God? Do you want to purify yourself? Do you want to cleanse yourself? And do you want me to guide you to your Lord so that you should be mindful of Him and be fearful of Him? And Moses then showed Pharaoh the great sign and miracle. But Pharaoh belied and disobeyed. And then he turned his back to Moses, striving hard against Allah. What was he doing? He started to gather his people and cried out loud, I am your Lord the Most High, Pharaoh said. Look at this, Ayah 25, and Allah seized him with punishment for his last time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him out as a punishment for what he has done last and for what he has done in the beginning. Then Allah gives us a remark to pay attention to the lesson, saying, certainly in this, meaning in this story, in this event, in that history, is an instructive admonition for whosoever fears Allah. Anyone who fears Allah, seizing Pharaoh by Allah in the midst of the sea, in front of all of his soldiers, all of his flanks of leaders and chariots and power and wealth, he was taken. So Allah set him as an example for the evil he was, so that those who come after him will heed the lesson. So there are several lessons here. One is Allah is capable over everyone and everything. Number two, Allah may not punish the person for the first crime that he commits. The third lesson is Allah extends an opportunity for people to repent and correct and regret what they have done wrong, as he did with Pharaoh. Number 4, Allah would send us messages and show us part of his signs so that we will have no excuse if we continue in our disobedience. Now, Pharaoh's story is finished. Musa's mission is finished. So Allah is telling us how this would reflect on us as believers who came after that generation. So he raises for us questions to ponder and think. So ayah 27, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks a rhetorical question. Are you more formidable of a creation than the heavens that Allah has constructed? He raised it high and he has made it equal, meaning it is like paved, it is smooth, and he has covered the nights with darkness, and it is forenoon he brings out light. And after that, he spread the earth all over. And I want you to pay attention to the wording of this ayah number 30. Because the translation cannot capture the Arabic word, I want to explain the Arabic word in the ayah. The Arabic word is dahaha. Dahaha means he shaped it in an egg-like shape. You know, the egg is not even spheric. It is an oval type of shape. And we know that not only Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but hundreds of generations after him have not been able to fly above the earth until the last century. But even in the early years of flying in primitive flight modes and primitive planes, if you will, man could have never seen the totality of the earth, how it looks like. The earth does not look like a ball that you see in the drawing of maps. The earth is oval in shape. And that points to a miracle, because neither Prophet Muhammad nor generations after him could have made that assertion that the earth has been shaped in the egg-like shape and oval shape. So Prophet Muhammad could have not known this on his own. He could not make that assertion based on physical empirical evidence because he had none, which means This Quran must have been given to him for the sake of our guidance as humans by Allah. It's a knowledge that was unknown during his time, and Allah enabled just 2 generations ago to be able to assert that the globe is not even ball-like sphere. It is oval-like shape. So for all the generations that came before us, it took their faith in the Prophet to believe how the earth looks like. For us, Allah has given us the chance by flying into space to see the earth for the spheric egg-like shape that it is. So people who used to inherit the denials of previous generations are now having no excuse to continue their denial. There is no excuse whatsoever. So after Allah has created the heavens and shaped it, gave it the darkness and the daylight, then he shaped the earth into that shape. Why is that shape important? Because that shape, whenever the earth rotates in its orbit around the sun, then one side of the earth will be facing the sun, which constitutes the daylight. And when the earth revolves around itself, then the other side that was in a night dark time, it will come to the sun side and it will be enjoying the daylight and the warmth of the sun. So Allah is giving us this information so that we appreciate both his divine knowledge, divine wisdom, in his divine design and structure of all of his creations. Everything is created for a purpose. Everything serves a purpose in the whole environment and in the whole universe. And everything is run according to Allah's will and command. Everything is under his divine control. So what is the benefit of us understanding all of this? The benefit is when you know that something is always ultimately, and that is true for everything, everything is ultimately in the hands of Allah, then it should give us peace and calm. It should take away our anxiety, our fears, our hesitation. And this is what Allah wants for us, so that we have nothing to worry about except our relationship with Allah and our duty as stewards of the earth to care and attend to our environment and to every one of Allah's creations. So after Allah has shaped the earth the way it is, then ayah number 31, and he brought forth therefrom its water and its pasture. Water and the green stuff that grows on the earth are nothing but gifts from Allah, and it is only He who makes it happen. When the water is evaporated from the surface of the earth and it is collected in the upper spheres around the earth, and then it is carried by the cloud, and then it rains down back to earth, this cycle is a cycle of purification for the water. So the water that comes from heaven will only be purified from all earthly pollutants, and it will be mixed with elements in the air and in the sphere, like oxygen and nitrogen and other elements. And when it comes to the earth, those elements, besides the elements in the earth, will make the earth produce its green grass, plants, and other things. Does the Quran talk about science? Does it explain how science works? These ayat are telling us and giving us the tools to use and the standards by which we should understand. And then Allah says, ayah number 32, and He fixed the mountains firmly. The mountains have weight, and their weight is immeasurable. You cannot measure it. You can guess it, you can estimate it, but you cannot have a measure, because the size of any mountain inside the earth is much greater than what you see. What you see, you could call it the tip of the mountain, like the tip of the iceberg. We know that below the water, there is much more ice than the iceberg. Likewise, the mountains. If you remember, in Surah number 78, the Quran was talking to us about mountains as pigs. They hold the crust of the earth together. They cause it to be stable and firm. Who made the mountains and the earth? It's Allah. And He is the one who made it firm so that it will give the crust of the earth the firmness it has. So you can put the heaviest machines on the surface of the earth and it would not crack. And then, why did Allah do all of this? Ayah number 33, it says, so that it would be a provision and benefit for you and your domesticated animals. So the water is a provision and the cause of all provisions. The green grass and vegetables and fruits and other things that the earth produces is also a provision for us and for our animals. Then what? Ayah number 34, it takes us back to the day of judgment. It says, and when there comes the greatest catastrophe, which is the day of recompense, the day of Qiyamah, when everybody is ushered to stand before Allah, and every community will meet their prophet that was sent to lead them. And every person, ayah number 35, would remember what they strove for. What did you put your effort to achieve in this life? If you remember in Surah the star and Najm, Allah said that man does not get except what man has earned. What we have earned is recorded in our book of records, our book of deeds, good and bad. And how do we remember it? Of course, nobody but the righteous would want to see their book. But before they receive their book, everybody is shaken, everybody is afraid. But once they receive their book, the believers will be very optimistic and very happy, and they will take their book around and say, "This is my book of records. Look at this. I believed in Allah. I believed I will face resurrection and account, and here we are. Look at my record." So even if you forgot your bad records, your book will remind you. So everybody will eventually remember what they have done. And hellfire shall be made obvious, and it will appear in full view for everybody who could look and see. This is a preview of what we will all encounter on the day of judgment. Why is the Quran giving us those details? It is for us never to forget that day, that it is coming, it is certain, it is assured by Allah. You will face that day. You know, when there is something important and your family or friends or boss tell you, put it in your calendar. The Quran is telling us, put that day in your heart. Don't leave it outside of your heart. Never forget it. Never forget Allah. Never forget death. Never forget the resurrection after death. Never forget that you are definitely going back to Allah, because it is a must. So I'm sorry, I just had to push this away. So the Quran goes on, ayah number 37, to say, as for those who transgressed the bounds in their disbelief, oppression, and evil deeds of disobedience, and preferred this life over the hereafter, They followed their desires, their evil lusts. Their abode will be nothing but hellfire. As for the one who feared their stand before Allah and restrained himself from impure evil desires and lusts, paradise will be his abode. So the Quran is telling us on the day of judgment, based on your book of records, the entire human race will be divided into two groups. One team will be invited and led into paradise, and one other team will be ushered into hellfire. May Allah make us among the people of paradise and save us from hellfire and the actions that lead to hellfire. So with these ayat we just explained, one should develop this sense of responsibility and constant minding of Allah's commands. Should never overlook it. We should treat our ignorance before we die, because without knowledge, how could anybody develop that sense of responsibility? If we don't read the Quran and we are only living for our own desires, we want to eat the best, sleep in the most comfortable beds, in the most lavish of housing, owning and riding the most luxurious of cars and flights and everything else. If that's all for us, who is going to remind us of our fate? And that's why the Quran is named as a reminder, a strong reminder. Are you okay, Sister Mona? Do you want to drink some water? Okay. Ayah number 42. They ask you, O Muhammad, about the hour. When will it come? What is the time for the hour? Do you know, it's an amazing term to be used in the Quran. This life is given to us 1 year at a time? No. 1 month at a time? No. 1 week at a time? No. 1 day at a time? No. 1 hour at a time? Yes. But we are clever. We divided the hour into minutes and minutes into seconds. But because seconds and minutes are not enough time to do anything, the Quran draws our attention to the hour as the unit of time, because it is the unit in which we can get something done. You cannot even make up your intention in a second. And most of the time, it takes you longer than a minute to develop a clear direction or intention for anything. So the hour becomes the actionable time unit that is worthy of our consideration. And that's not to cancel the value of the minute or the second, because in a second you could say Allah. In a second you could say thank you. In a second you could kiss your parents' hand as a show of thanks. In a second you could wave peace to somebody. But those are not the majority of things we do in life. That's why the hour is the unit. And because the Quran is using the hour as the name of the timing for the beginning of the unraveling of life, the day of judgment, he calls it the hour, which means the due time of the day of judgment. What hour will it be ushered in? The disbelievers and the pagans used to ask the prophet, when is the hour? When is it coming? Can you call it upon us? In mockery to the prophet and to his message, they were thinking that they are smart. Like people who mock Islam and Muslims today, they think because they can draw a laughter from the audience that they are smart. But they are really, really mocking themselves. And Allah is mocking them by their own mockery. So Allah tells those pagans and disbelievers by talking to the prophet, telling the prophet, you have no knowledge to answer or say anything about it. The hour is not up to you. That's Ayah 43. Ayah 44, write quickly and shortly. It is up to your Lord. It is his matter. It is up to him. Its time is up to him. Its manifestations are up to him. You are only a warner for those who fear it. On the day that they see it, it would be as if they had not tarried in this world except for an afternoon or a foremorning. Foremorning is what we call duha. So the last ayah of the surah is this ayah. The day they see it, it will be as if they had not spent any time in this life except as sometime in the afternoon or sometime in the foremorning. In another ayah in the Quran, it says, as if they had not stayed in this life any longer than an hour in which they got to know each other. That's what life is. And this is the end of our time today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us our desire and interest to learn the Quran and our efforts to learn it, love it, and apply it to our life, and our effort to teach it to our families and our neighbors. Thank you, everybody who made this class possible, and thank you, those who come and attend. Please share it if you think it was helpful. Thank you. جزاكم الله خيرا. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you, Sister Mona. Thank you, Sister Andalib. السلام عليكم.